nothing against it. Just a little bit. So I've got your homework returned to you. And as you know, we are getting closer and closer to a test. In fact, we have a test this Friday in this class. And I guess for me, that'll mark the 2/3 spot or 2/3 point in this semester. So we're going to finish up talking about pop symbols and figure base today. And then I'd like to review for the test Wednesday. And then the test will be Friday, and that's what we'll do that during the time then. So what I'd like to do today is as follows. I do want to go over all the answers to the homework to make sure that you are understanding especially popular chord symbols as best you can. And then after we go over the answers to the homework, I'm not collecting the homework today. I do want to give you, about the middle of class, I do want to give you one last half-sheet quiz. And that's going to be the last quiz for this unit anyways. So let's start looking at the homework. Start there. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show the answers that I have to page 25 in the workbook. I had you do those on that page since they're asking for lead sheet symbols. Chords and the same pop symbols. So the first three are what you should have, something similar to that. It doesn't have to be exact. For instance, number 1, C sharp, fully diminished 7/E. I would also accept C sharp, DIM 7/E. But that chord is in inversion, it's in first inversion. So the pop symbol needs to have a slash with the bass note written after it. The note that's in the bass goes after the slash. And it's a fully diminished 7th chord whose root is C sharp. Number 2, all you need is what the font would say, A. That's all you need. Because it's just a major triad on A in root position. And number 3 is a D flat major triad. Do you see how F is the lowest pitch in the measure? So that's what I use as my bass note for analysis. So it's a D flat major triad /F. That means the F is the lowest tone, not the D flat. Number 4, I would accept A sharp half diminished 7. I would also accept A sharp minor 7 flat 5. Yes. Here it is. All right, so I don't know if you guys caught this. It's a little bit hiding, but there's a treble clef sitting right there. So the left hand, in addition to the right hand, are in treble clef, which makes this bottom note, that makes it an A sharp. Then the next note is E, and then G sharp, and then we have the missing note, C sharp, on the top. So again, if I stacked it in thirds, I would have, in order, I would have A sharp, C sharp, E, and G sharp. This much right here is a diminished triad, A sharp, C sharp, E. And the 7th interval from A sharp up to G sharp turns out to be a minor 7th. So So a diminished triad plus a minor seventh gives us one of these, which is the same thing as one of these. And it turns out to be in root position. The A sharp, the root, is the lowest tone. So you do not need a slash or any letters after that. But A sharp, half diminished 7, or it looks like I gave you A sharp minor 7, flat 5 would be acceptable as well for a pop symbol. Let's take a look at some of these others. Number 5, I would accept D open circle 7 or D DIM 7. Number 6, the only answer allowed is A7, because it's an A, major minor 7th chord in this position. So A7. Number 7, I would accept E minor 7 over, or I say over, E minor 7 slash G. You could also have E min 7 slash G. Notice again that G is the lowest note there. And the notes of that chord are E, G, B, D, which makes it a minor, minor 7. Number 8, B flat slash F is all that's necessary. Number 9, the last one, E minor slash G, is all that's necessary for that one. Any questions or comments?
On number 5, like, there are so many notes and it's kind of overwhelming, and so like, how did you find the ones you needed to find to get
Okay.
the D or 7?
Sure, I think that's a fair question. Well, first of all, I see that this D is the lowest pitch in the whole measure. So that I'm going to use as my bass note. But if I look at all of them, I think they're all just duplicates of one another. There are 4 different pitches. So D, F, A flat, C flat. And then you go backwards this way, D, F, A flat, C flat, and D. So really, there are only 4 notes. And as I said, D is in the bass. So if we just stack it in thirds, D, F, A flat, C flat, it turns out that D to F is a minor third, F to A flat is a minor third, and A flat to C flat is a minor third, which is another way of looking at a fully diminished 7th chord. Yeah. The triad is diminished D, F, A flat, and D up to C flat is a diminished 7th interval. So yeah, there are a lot of notes in there. But really, when you get in there and scrutinize it, there really only are 4 different pitches. Yep. Yep. Good. Okay. Moving on to let's have you check your chord the way you wrote your chords on the handout for pop symbols indicators. I am not super ultra concerned about the rhythm of your chords, just as long as you have the right pitches and you have the same bass note as I have, or the same lowest note as I have, so that the chord is in the proper bass position or inversion. So there's the first batch.
It's okay if we write it up in octave, you said, right?
Yes, absolutely. You can write it up in octave. So for instance, in this one here, you need B as the lowest tone. Looks like all the rest here on the screen are in root position. But you need to include the accidentals. And the reason you have to include some accidentals occasionally is because there is no key signature at the beginning of this step. Absolutely nothing at all. Let me slide it over here to finish this system. Yes?
What notes are supposed to be in D7?
D7, that's a D major minor 7th, so D, F sharp, A, C. Yep, D, F sharp, A, C. into the second system. Again, we have no key signature. So I have to put in any accidental necessary to spell the chord correctly. And in this system, it looks like we alternate back and forth between F sharp diminished and G minor. See how it goes back and forth a few times. So if you have, whether is this chord correct, then and you copy it exactly, then this chord should be correct. And if this chord is correct, then you copy it, and this chord should also be correct. Going on to the end of that system. No, I wonder why this measure ended up so long. Yeah. Go back to the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just need to check something. Sorry, I really wrote the office, so I wanted to make sure I have that
Mhm.
right now. Okay, okay.
Going on to the final line of music. What in the world does that glog mean? The first one there.
You have
Yeah, thanks. I don't know if I don't have that AUG on your list of pop symbols. I hope that you could figure out what that meant though. Yes, sir.
Is that a sharp or a flat?
It should be a sharp. Are you talking about right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. It should be G, B, and D sharp for G augmented. This is a curious chord always. E flat diminished. Do you have E flat, G flat, and B double flat? Yeah. I don't really care for using double flats and double sharps, but once in a while we have to use them in order to get the right spelling of what's being requested. And then the only other chord that's not being shown is the last. You know what, let me just shrink it just a smidge. There we go, now they can all fit in.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I might have not been wrong, but on the G7, I sharp at the F.
Yeah, you don't want to sharp the F because if you do, you'll get a major seventh chord. And G7 is the symbol for the dominant or the major minor
Oh,
seventh.
okay, I thought it was a major, sorry.
No, if it was calling for a major seven, it would need G capital M7
Yeah, I forgot about
or G MAJ7, something like that. Yep. Good. Any other comments or questions? I'll give you the half sheet in just a second. I just wanted to, where did I put that? I just wanted to have you help me try to label these two chords using the correct pop symbol. So basically fill in the blanks with the correct pop symbol. So I know last class I was giving you the pop symbol, and then I asked you maybe to spell me the chord designated by that symbol. And I don't know if I did any of these where I give you the chord and ask you to give me the correct symbol for it. So for instance, this first chord, I hope you can see that the root is F sharp. It's a seventh chord in inversion, and the F sharp is the higher of the two notes that form a second. If you were to arrange those notes in thirds, it would be F sharp, A, C, E flat. Now, who knows what kind or type of seventh chord F sharp, A, C, E flat is? Which of the five? Yeah. It's fully diminished, that's right. Okay. So how should I write my pop symbol for this?
F sharp, and then a circle, and then 7, and then /C.
Yes, absolutely, very good. You see, because it's not in root position, I need to put a slash, and then the note that's actually in the base. I have to put that after the slash. But we determined that it was fully diminished 7, and the root is F sharp, so that's the symbol for that. Very good. But the next one isn't so cumbersome. We just have a triad here. What type of triad do I have? E flat, G flat, B flat.
Is it minor?
It's a minor triad. So what would the pop symbol be for this minor triad?
E flat and then a lowercase m.
Sure, that would be good. That would be enough. E flat minor. All right, is your brain surging with pop symbol information? All right, I'd like to give you this half-sheet quiz now. We'll take 10 minutes or whatever we need for it. All you need is a pencil. Now, when you realize the figured base in the first section, first of all, no notes below the base. All the notes go above. And second of all, I don't really care much about the rhythm, so you do not have to use any stems for the notes you put above the base in section 1. If you just want to put open circles or filled in circles and no stems, that's perfectly fine. Just as long as you have the right pitches and the right accidentals. So, I was told by, the department chair, Dave, he came to my office this morning, he said, we've got a prospective student coming and there's no other faculty that can meet with this student, so I'm the one. So, what do you think I should say to this student? Should I tell them that everything here is awesome, like the Lego movie?
No, I didn't say it, yeah.
Everyone, everything, everyone, everything's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's what I'll say, and they'll just believe me and say, yeah. No, I'll just fine. Okay, so what I'd like to do today is I'd like to go through one more example with figure-based. After we realize the chords, we're going to put everything together. After we get the chords on the staff, we're not only going to analyze with Roman numerals, we're also going to analyze with pop symbols, so that we can wrap everything up and put it together before we review for the test on Wednesday. So, I have, as you can, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm in the key of D major. I'm in the key of D major, and I'm in the bass clef here, 2 sharps in the key signature. And my first bass note is F sharp. And really, before I can fill in any Roman numerals down here, and any pop symbols up here, I have to realize the chords according to the figures. I have to get the notes on the staff to see what I'm looking at. Okay? So, I hope by now, this is becoming a little bit old hat, I hope, that when you see a 6 underneath a bass note, you know that is a shortened symbol to mean, really, the full symbol is 6-3. It's referring to a triad. Okay? And all you have to do is plug in the notes at these intervals above the bass to fill out the chord. So a third above the bass here would be an A, and a sixth above the bass would be a D. And you let the key signature worry about what kind of notes you get up there, unless you're told to adjust the notes otherwise with some extra symbols. Just as a reminder, I still have a few students I noticed on the last homework assignment. Please do not write any notes below the bass note. Okay, when you're dealing with figured bass, that is the bottom note. Don't write any notes beneath it. All the notes go at these intervals above. Also, I noticed on the last homework assignment, there's a few students that are still trying to, like when they have symbols like this, they're trying to add accidentals to the bass note. You never alter or adjust the bass note. The bass note of the figure bass is correct. That's something the composer gives the musician. You have to assume the bass note is correct. You can only adjust notes above the bass note. Don't alter the given note. Okay, so there's one chord, and you know what, let's just go ahead before we fill in the others. Yeah, I'll see if I can squeeze it in here. I don't mind. Do you want to do the Roman numeral first, or do you want to do the pop symbol first? Let's do the pop symbol first. We've got D, F sharp, and A, with F sharp on the bottom. What should my pop symbol be to describe that chord in that measure?
Major.
Okay, it's a major triad.
So it'd be,
What is the root?
The D.
Okay?
D major / F sharp.
Okay, you're really close. So to indicate a major triad with the pop symbol, all I need is just the root, right? I don't need major or any M's or anything like that. So just D, that would be for a root position, D major triad, but it does have another tone in the bass, so D / F sharp would be correct. See, I'm getting you not only to realize the chords with the figured bass, but then think in terms of pop symbols. Now, think in terms of Roman numeral. What Roman numeral should I give that chord in the key of D major?
A capital 1
Capital 1, I would agree.
with a 6.
That's right, it's not in root position. It's in first inversion. So 1/6. Why do I use the 1? Well, because the root of the chord is D, scale degree 1 in this key. Why do I use a capital 1? Well, because in major, all ones are capital, but it's because the triad we decided or already thought of was major. And we use the 6 to say that it's in first inversion. Kind of following this? Now this is where everything you've been learning when it comes together. Okay, the next one, let's fill in the, you know what? Let's fill in the notes first. I'm going to put this a little higher just in case I'm around the room. 6-5. That is an abbreviated figure. The full figure is 653. Now I'm really going to be stuck, so I'll have to put my Roman numeral down here or something. This is referring to a 7th chord. It's going to have 4 different pitches. But let me just go strictly by intervals above the bass first. That's all figure bass is. A third above the bass F sharp is A. A fifth above the bass F sharp is C. What does this symbol mean to do? Yeah. Is it okay that the natural comes after the 5 and not before it? It's okay. There's no standardization here. You'll see it both ways. Sometimes you'll see natural 5. Sometimes you'll see 5 natural. It means the same thing. And finally, a sixth above the bass is D. And what am I supposed to do to the D? What does the slash through the 6 mean?
Just to raise it.
Yeah, it means to raise the note a half step. Okay? Normally from the key signature, this is plain D, or D natural. So to raise it a half step means D sharp. I'm going to make a little more space here. There we go. I'll tell you right now that this chord we do not know how to analyze with a Roman numeral yet, so we're going to skip that part. But we certainly can label this chord with a pop symbol. What is the root?
D sharp.
D sharp, that's right. Okay, so my pop symbol has to have capital D sharp in it somewhere. If you imagine the D sharp down an octave, it would be stacked in thirds. D sharp, F sharp, A, C natural. What type of 7th chord is D sharp, F sharp, A, C?
Fully diminished.
Fully diminished, that's right. So now I'm getting closer here. I know I can label this then D sharp, fully diminished 7. Do I have to use a slash?
Yeah.
Yeah, because D sharp is not on the bottom. What do I put after the slash? F sharp. Because remember, F is sharp from the key signature. Yeah, if you wrote D sharp diminished 7 over F, a musician would look at that and say, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because I know F natural doesn't occur in that chord. But F sharp does occur in this chord, so that makes sense. All right. Moving right along. What does 5 mean?
Reposition.
5-3, that's right. That's the full symbol. We're going to be looking at a triad here. So let's just, again, nothing but intervals above the bass. A third above the bass is a G, and a fifth above the bass, E, is a B. This one, we will be able to analyze with the Roman numeral and a pop symbol. Conveniently, that chord is in root position. So I know it's EGB with E as the root. What type of triad is EGB? It's a minor triad, right? Okay, so I can label this chord like that. Capital E for the root and then a small a, E minor. I can also label this chord with a Roman numeral in terms of the key of D. Remember, Roman numerals always only make sense in terms of the key or the scale that you're working in. So, yeah, you got an idea?
Yeah, is it a lowercase two?
It is. It's a lowercase 2. The root is E, and E is scale degree 2 in this key, so we're going to use a Roman numeral 2. It's a minor triad, so it's lowercase, and it's not inverted or anything like that, so we don't need any other numbers. Just 2. Okay. The next one we won't be able to analyze with a Roman numeral, but we certainly will be able to with a pop symbol. Okay, 6 or 2, that is a full symbol. Don't have to infer any other numbers. Now, is it okay that the plus is sitting over to the right of the 4 rather than in front of it? Sure, you'll see it both ways. No standardization in the figure base there. So this really is +4 or 4 plus when we get to that. All right, the second above the base is, I want to stem this. Hang on a second. Yeah. The second above the base is F, and it's going to be F sharp. A fourth above the base E is A, and the plus means to do what with it? Raise it a half step. So A natural now becomes A sharp. And the sixth above the base is, the base E is C, and it's going to be C sharp from the key signature. We don't have a Roman numeral to analyze this one, but we can always get a pop symbol. The root of the chord is F. Oh, go ahead.
This is super technical, but the other C before has a natural on it.
This one here?
Yes, so
Yep.
you have to put a new sharp on the other one.
Well,
It's the same thing.
technically we don't because there's a bar line,
Oh, okay.
but we certainly can, so that we don't forget.
Okay.
So thank you for catching that, huh? Yeah, if it's in the key signature, you shouldn't have to put it on there. Now, if this C was in this very measure after this chord, then I would have to,
Okay.
because the natural carries through the whole measure. Generally, what would happen if anyone worth their salt was writing the figure base, and it was in the same measure, they would have a probably a sharp in parentheses right in front of the 6 to remind the person to just make sure you use C sharp. Yeah. Okay, so let's see, where was I? So F sharp is the root. F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, E. What type of seventh chord is that?
Major, minor.
That's right, it's major minor. So the pop symbol is F sharp with a what? 7, thank you. And do I need a slash?
Yes.
Yeah. What goes after the slash?
E.
E. The bass note. We're getting there. 4-3 is the symbol under this bass. The full symbol is 6-4-3. I'm going to infer that there's a 6 right there. Plugging the notes in at these intervals above the bass. Let's see how I do this thing on this one. Yeah. So a third above an E is a G. A fourth above a G is an A. Now what is this natural in parentheses?
Where's the notes before there's an A sharp thing?
Yeah, see, so this is telling us that we don't want A sharp in this chord anymore. Put it back to its natural state. Whoops. And then I finally get a 6th above the bass E, which is still C sharp, it looks like. So, take stock of the notes we have here. A is the root. A, C sharp, E, G. What type of 7th chord is that?
That's a major.
It's a major minor 7th chord. A, C, is that what you said? Sorry.
No, we both said the opposite thing.
Okay.
Never,
It's a dominant 7th or major minor. So again, the symbol for that is just the root with the 7. And what goes after the slash?
An E.
What's in the base? Yeah, an E again. This one we can analyze with the Roman numeral in the key of B. because it fits in the key of D. If A is the root, what Roman numeral are you thinking of? I'm trying to read your mind. You should be thinking of the Roman numeral. 5, yes, that's right. And 5s are always capital. Always. Now, is it a triad or a seventh chord? It's a seventh, okay. Is it in root position or inversion? Okay. Who can tell me what my inversion numbers I need to put next to the 5 are?
Oh, is it 4-3?
Yeah, it is. You'll actually see them in the figures sometimes. It's a second inversion seventh chord because the fifth of the seventh chord is in the bass. So really, technically, it should be called a 5-4-3. Finally, we're getting out of the woods. Nothing underneath. Do I just leave that note alone, skip it? Just leave it all by its lonesome?
It's in a root position.
That's right, it's root position, so that means 5-3. Okay. So we'll put a third and a fifth above the bass. How about a pop symbol for D, F sharp A? Just a D, right? Just a capital D. It's a major triad in root position. All you need to do is label the root. And finally, what should the last Roman numeral be for a D major triad in D major?
This one.
Okay, what triad? Capital or lowercase? That's right, capital, because it's major. Now, you know, as I was looking through this, when I was preparing for this class the other day, I was thinking, you know, this is really, it's good for review. I'll go ahead and play it in a moment here. It doesn't really sound like anything special. I guess I'm going to have to revamp what I've got for my example so we can come up with something that sounds a little decent. But at least it's got some chromatic color to it. So we're in the key of D major. And it sounds something like this. Have any last minute questions on figure bass, pop symbols, or even Roman numerals? Yeah.
Like on the quiz today, I had a 7 and then like a natural symbol under it, or was it flat? Either way.
No, it was a natural, yeah.
Yeah. Does that go for the 5 or the 3?
It goes for the 3. Yeah, because remember, an accidental by itself always refers to the third, when there's no number next to it, it always refers to the third above the bass. So where would the 5 be implied then? That's right. So the natural goes on the third above the bass, not the fifth above the bass. Yeah, good question. Any other questions? Very well. We are running out of time, so let me just leave you with the test review. Now, I don't know how it got this test review over the years has just become mammoth. You do not have to do everything on this test review. But I mean, if you did at least a few problems from every section on here, you would have a thorough understanding of any kind of problem that could show up on the test. Okay? So I would like you between now and Wednesday to at least start. I would like you to do some of these. You do not have to have it all finished for Wednesday. I'm not going to collect it. But it is in your benefit to work on this and get prepared for the review, which will then, of course, prepare you for the test. The test goes all the way back to intervals. Remember intervals before we even knew anything about a triad or a seventh chord? So I know this review might be a little overkill, but it's just been added to and developed over the years to do this. So we'll look at as much of this as there is time to in class on Wednesday to prepare you for the test. And that's all for today, so you're welcome to leave once you get this.